So I click the button. It says it's going live. Okay, now I'm in preview mode. Okay, I think we're live. Awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast. My name is Kent Pycat Gruber, and I'm really excited to have two friends with me today. And so why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yes, so I am Quantiss, and today we have a special guest. Drum roll.
Amanda Berlin. Yay!
Hey,
InfoSystir.
Very, very popular.
Hi.
On the InfoSec Twitter, at least that's how I knew you from the beginning, I suppose. And then I learned that you were in MySec, which was super exciting. And then Quantiss learned today you were in MySec.
And then you met me, and then you're like, oh,
yeah.
I don't really need to be excited over that.
No, it's so exciting. It's always exciting. No, I'm very, very fan of the work that you do.
Yes.
I know that you do mental health hackers. You're the CEO there. Could you tell me a little bit?
Yeah. So I started it. We just hit our first year being done operating. It was an idea that I came up with after having talked about mental health stuff for a while. I did a bunch of talks about my own struggles and mental health generally in InfoSec. And how many problems all of us have, and then found that I could probably reach more people doing more than just talking about it. So now we run villages at conferences where we have quiet space, and you can come and chill out on a lounger and color and get a massage. We've had things like yoga and therapy dogs and just you name it. We've had a bunch of, full-blown talk schedules and just, a bunch of stuff just all surrounding mental health and wellness.
Totally.
In the space.
Super important. Especially in this community where workaholicism is sort of very prevalent.
Yes.
I'm guilty, very, very guilty, especially because I work from home. And so I can work a long time and just get really lost into it. Be like, oh, no, it is midnight.
Yeah, I've not showered for 3 days. Yeah.
Yep, that's a big thing. Yeah.
Definitely.
So definitely something I sort of struggled with in terms of just keeping mental health is definitely in hacking and infosec where that sort of wasn't talked about just a few years ago. And so I've definitely really appreciated people coming out and being more open, talking about those things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people were talking about burnout,
Totally.
for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't think we touched on everything else that's related to it, right? Because, everybody can get burnout, but you also have all of those actual medical conditions that go along with it that everybody is just I'm the only one that has to deal with this. I'll just not talk about it. And you're quietly suffer all by myself.
And it's so important to talk about it because other people are struggling with it, and having an open conversation about it is just really important, especially to empathy on the topics. So.
Yeah, and it's nice to commiserate, right, with people that know what you're going through, not just technically, but physically and emotionally and everything.
Right.
Because that's why most of my friends are in InfoSec, because you can bitch about something that happened during the day, or this customer did this thing, or this software did this, and you can talk about that, and then you can also talk about your other stuff too. So I think it helps.
Yeah, definitely having a broad, a more rounded sort of life.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Pycat earlier about Mr. Robot. Have you watched Mr. Robot before, InfoSystir?
I have. I didn't watch the most recent season. When they took the big break, I stopped there.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I need to watch the rest of it. But yeah, he goes through some stuff, doesn't he?
He sure does. Which is actually kind of interesting because, I stopped watching it when we were interviewing InfoSec Ali, we were talking about it, and I forgot about watching it and finishing the last 2 seasons, and I didn't remember, or I couldn't remember why I stopped watching it. And then I started from the beginning and rewatched the entire thing and realized exactly why I stopped watching it, and that's because of the aspect that it's for the last probably 3 years, I haven't had access to some medication, some ADHD medication that I take, and
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how I think and feel when I'm not on my medication.
Okay.
ADHD medication, which is so interesting, connecting those two. And then I just thought about you. That's how I connected those two. Was
Yeah,
'cause
Elliot self-medicates with some heavy stuff.
he does, yeah, yes. And it's the same, and like he medicates with that, but like my medication was ADHD medication, and it would maybe be more
Right.
focused, which
Yeah.
is it's interesting how that kind of affects people.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if some of the writers have dealt with that,
Yeah, I feel like they have because of the fact
If
that it's
right.
so in depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, have you wrote any books on mental health?
Not not mental health.
No? Okay.
I will never.
No?
No, I'm not qualified. I've read a lot of really good books on mental health, but no, not on that. Plus, like I've written one, and that's enough for me.
Fair enough.
It's
The Defensive Security Handbook.
yeah, it was a rough year of my life, because like I had even thought about like last year writing a book,
Mhm.
and when I mentioned something to my kids, they're like, "No, you're not." You're not. Mm-mm. No, because they just saw like me from the back of they saw like the back of my laptop for a year straight because all I did was write.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I was working 2 jobs and writing, and
Just an
yeah,
extra challenge. You just
yeah, I can never not be overworked, it seems.
someone dare you. Like, I bet you can't write a book this year.
Yeah, right? Basically.
Yeah. Wow.
That's interesting. I've never tried to write a book. I've only written like a couple pages of documentation and got really tired. So I can only
Yeah.
imagine like trying to write a book.
It's like I really enjoy writing, but it's the times when you're like, oh, I have a deadline coming up and I don't want to write.
Yeah.
Especially after there's certain chapters of that book that neither of us wanted to write. Like we went through and divvied up like the 20 or so chapters, and we got to the end and it's like, all right, which one of us is going to do the compliance chapter? Like nobody wants to do it.
Yeah. Compliance. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
I was just talking about compliance.
There was a few who were like, I don't know. Do you hate this less than I hate it?
I've never like had to go through a book, so it's like basically you get the chapters decided like beforehand with your editor or something like that.
It was interesting. So like I had gone back and forth because like ever since I was little, I wanted to write a book. Right, it's been on like my bucket list, and I had this idea. Met my editor at DerbyCon one year, and kind of pitched her my idea, and she like wanted to talk to me, and she's the one that we ended up going with at O'Reilly. But like I had talked to the author of the Blue Team Handbook, right? It's just incident response forensic stuff, and he had self-published. And then I talked to No Starch, and then I just like I don't know. The first book I ever read, the first technical book I ever read was an O'Reilly book. So they kind of had like a special, like that would be super cool thing, right?
I think they were my first two. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she was able to match me up with somebody else that like I'd never met my co-author before. And she's like, hey, this other guy has kind of the same idea and he has like the opposite skill set that you do. I'm like,
Oh.
Okay, well, I kind of wanted to write it by myself, but yeah, I guess. So it worked really well because like Lee had done more like programming and Linux than I had done, and I had done a lot of networking and Windows. So we kind of had good competing skill sets, right, to write more of a round. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a more rounded out book. So. It was interesting because we actually started writing with each other before we ever met in person.
Oh, interesting.
Which was kind of cool, yeah. So yeah, like yay internet and stuff, because we wouldn't have ever been able to really do that easily before. So yeah, it was interesting. I almost self-published, but then went with them, and you have to like write out an entire proposal. So they're like, okay, I guess you can write a book for us.
Sort of like a but for books in a way.
Right. So we like laid out, and and it wasn't exactly what we had ended up with. I think we pitched like 16 chapters and ended up with 20 something. So like we came up with more as we went. And I'm going to try and get him to do a second revision next year, because like we don't have any cloud security stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know, there's I have an ongoing list ever since it came out of stuff I'm going to add.
Sweet.
Yep.
Is the revision sort of less involved, or is that still like another like dive in for like a good like long couple months or something?
For what's that? The revision?
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, I would imagine another 4 months, because editing takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just really happy that O'Reilly has good copy editors, because the people that go through and they're like, oh, this needs a period, or that should be a comma, or I'm like, oh, I would hate that job so much.
Right.
Nope. They're like, oh, here's this book back with 18,000 edits. I'm not going to approve every single one of those. I just trust you. How about that?
Yeah,
And
that's intense.
so like basically, in order to like write a book on a topic, I imagine you obviously have to have like a breadth of experience. Could you sort of like go into like sort of how you got into InfoSec and like different sort of roles you've done?
What's weird is they don't actually vet that you've had that experience, which is scary.
Okay.
Really?
That's very interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
But let's just hope that I mean, I don't have that many bad reviews yet, I guess. So I feel like maybe I knew something.
The proposal sounded good enough.
Right.
Got enough security words. Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lot of buzzwords over the years. Yeah, so I mean, I hadn't planned on going into information security or technology in general. I was going to be a professional musician in the Marines.
Really?
And then, yeah, before we went on air, I mentioned like I found out I was pregnant on my 17th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, well, shit, I can't go into the Marines now. I guess I can type fast, so I'll do computers. So I went and I got a help desk degree. So it was the fastest 2-year degree I could get, so I could get out and start working again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was still working through college and high school and everything, but yeah, it got me out into like a help desk job. I worked help desk at an ISP, at a hospital, and then kind of just worked my way up in the hospital. I did like sysadmin, software admin, net admin, and then started learning to roll security into everything. And didn't even know there was like an InfoSec field until I had already been doing security for a few years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I learned like Dave Kennedy, before he had Trusted Sec and everything, was working at a place and came in and did a pen test for us and like let me watch him. And I'm like, this is really cool. I didn't know you could get paid to do any of this.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I'll be,
Of all the people too, right?
That's
of all
sweet.
the people. And he's like, yeah, you know, and I have like this conference that I'm running, and it was like the second year of DerbyCon, I think, that had just finished. He's like, I'll give you a ticket for next year. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. And then so that was like my first security conference, and then it just kind of went all downhill from there. I've been hopelessly addicted to going to conferences now for like, I don't know, 7 years.
Now, didn't DerbyCon have its last year, right?
It did. I'm very heartbroken.
Wow.
All good things come to an end, I suppose.
Yeah, they ended on a good high note.
That's good.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but just what instrument did you play? You said you wanted to be like a musician, or what was your expertise in the music?
Trumpet.
What was it?
Trumpet.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just wanted to know.
I played weddings and funerals, and I was in a band until I was 30 something.
Wow. Okay. That's a cool experience.
The hidden talents of the InfoSec world.
Right. Do you still play now, or have you played lately?
I don't have time
Gotcha.
to play now. Like my middle son started playing trumpet last year, so we play a little bit every now and then. Like I'll help teach him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't do band anymore. It's too much time.
Gotcha. Pass the ranks down to your son.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that idea. So now you when you got in the infosec industry, or you were started to get into infosec industry, did you have any like project or anything that you would say that kind of boosted you into this besides working with, we said Dave Kennedy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't even remember what it was called. It was some kind of like security training framework thing. I actually worked on with Jimmy Vo, and I don't know, a handful of other people. It was
Mm-hmm.
like my first, like, I didn't know about MySec or anything either. And it was just like, I hadn't gone any meetings or anything. I met them from Twitter or IRC or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just working like over video calls on this security framework. And I think that was probably my first project in InfoSec.
That's sweet. Yeah, that's something that like I've always learned, that like when I talk to people in industry or just fellow hackers or infosec peeps, is just learning like their first hack or their first project that they ever worked on, and seeing how much they like it, or what they are really influenced in, or what they're influenced in specifically, like what area, what that for that framework. So you're more blue team. Do you like red teaming at all, or is blue team just like your forte because you had experience being a sysadmin and a network admin, and
I
you're
just
already
still
doing that?
always find blue team challenging
Okay.
because you can never run out of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 I know enough red teaming to test my detections and my defenses. That's about it.
Gotcha.
I would not be able to be good enough to be not caught.
I'd be very, very noisy.
Yeah, yeah. I can catch quiet people sometimes. I just don't know how they do what they do.
Gotcha. Fair enough. So now you said you worked with logs, or you look at logs all day. Like that's one of the things you do.
It is, yeah.
So what would you
Basically.
say is your favorite sim then, if you've worked with multiple sims?
Oh, I like that question because I actually work for a company that's writing one.
Oh, okay.
Okay. A new
So
contender in the Holy War.
yeah, yeah. So I work for a company called Blumira,
Okay.
and they're out of Ann Arbor,
Okay.
and it's like a sim for companies that don't have a security budget, really, or a team. Like,
Mhm.
say you have like two security people, right? You don't have enough infrastructure or money or time or anything to
Yeah.
have an entire SOC.
Yeah, Lord help them.
Right, exactly. And there's so many,
Yeah.
right? There's so
Yeah.
many companies that don't have enough anything for a full SOC or even a full security engineer to run a SIM, right? Because
Right.
I
Right.
mean, ideally, there should be at least one person dedicated to a SIM
Yeah.
Yeah.
places.
Right.
Um, and so our stuff is for those kind of people because it has like incident response all built in. There's not really any tuning involved because we do all of it like automated on the back end.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, my own SIM.
That's a fair enough answer.
Yes. Yes. Very fair.
Yeah, we're trying to be a bigger contender. We have some branding issues I think we're going to try and work through, but we just hired Patrick Garrity. He was like one of the top marketing people at Duo.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very excited because he is like Mr. Spaz, and he's going to be able to get us a lot more attention than I can because I'm the only one doing Twitter for our company right now.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Fair enough. So now, is your the company you work for, is that your company, or is it just a company you work for? Okay, I'm not sure.
No, I don't need to start any more companies.
Well, you never know. So now,
Yeah.
how long have you worked there, or what is your background story behind this company?
So I used to work for a place that did Splunk
Okay.
out of Cleveland. I worked for them for like 3 years doing Splunk ES. And then came here and we had a very, very inferior product at the sister company to Blumira, and we kind of did a spin-off and took the people we wanted and put them in this new company and did all security blue team stuff and like started from the ground up, which writing a sim from the ground up isn't very easy. Surprise. Yeah. Yeah. it seems like it would be way easier in concept than it is in practice. But yeah, I've been here for, if you count with the sister company too, it's been like 3 years. But this company alone's been like a year and a couple months.
Gotcha. Okay. And so do you guys, so besides your company, Sim, would you say, did you like Splunk? Did you like Logarithm, QRadar, any of those?
I love Splunk for those people that can afford it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the people that can afford it and afford the services around implementation and constant upkeep, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive. Like I never had looked at the price of it because I didn't care. Like I was always on the back end. And then I did a couple times and I'm like, I don't know how anybody ever affords to pay for this. This is insane.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's intense.
But it is very good at what it does.
Yeah. There's a lot of pre-built things out there and there's a lot of documentation, which is nice.
Yeah, they're very good at parsing data. There's a lot of stuff from the community on parsers. Like a lot of times you'll look up sim for whatever, and they'll already have something pre-built.
Yeah.
Which we're trying to compete with. We'll see.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, so many formats.
Best of luck.
Right? Oh my God! And people don't know how to format logs.
For sure.
No.
It's terrible. Oh my gosh, working through Windows logs is a pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I really don't ever have to worry about Windows logs. I'm super spoiled in that regard.
Yeah. Like parsing out of XML when all of the fields could be different depending on it's a cluster. Yeah, that's not great.
Reasonable. That's cool though. I really like that. Like having the experience, obviously Splunk obviously would help like translate to like the new product and like wherever like Splunk would like fall short on other than just like price. Like what are some of like the things like your guys are like trying to like specific maybe like sort of target and do better specifically perhaps maybe like one or two things. Yeah.
So like the one thing I really like is that you can do decision based like trees inside Lumira.
Okay.
So it would be like, all right, well, this event happened. Like, did you add this admin on purpose? They're like, oh, yeah. All right. Well, then, we can whitelist that event within the Splunk, and it creates the finding and it alerts everybody within, and it's already all built in.
Yeah.
But if you say something like, oh, no, that wasn't me, it will take that event and change the priority of it.
Okay.
Right. And it may ask you other questions based on what that admin has done.
Okay.
And give other information.
Okay, so it's like sort of like automated a little bit of like some of the escalation process that someone else would have to like sort of add on top.
Exactly. That like a lot of our customers wouldn't know what to do. They'd be like, all right, well, no, I didn't add it. Now what? Right? So, I mean, for a lot of things, the now what, like the next step or two are always going to be the same when it comes to incident response. So we're like, well, why don't we just build all of that into it?
Right. Because, that makes so much sense. Yeah.
Right. And Splunk definitely doesn't do that. So I do like that part of it. And then we're also going to try and do a bunch of different asset management stuff. So asset management is built into the SIM because your SIM should know about everything, right?
Yeah. That'd be helpful to correlate stuff and such.
Yeah.
Oh, very helpful.
For sure.
That's a big problem I run into myself is like when I get to a certain point where I can't find any more information on the topic that I'm trying to find, and I'm like we are a SOC, but we're like a contract SOC, I guess you would say. So like we work for other companies and stuff,
right?
And they like I just had to reach out to the customer. I'm like, this is as far as I could go. It'd be nice to have more information on this asset, this computer, this domain controller, this whatever it may be, so I could actually, make a decision on whether this is good or not.
Yeah, that's a struggle. A lot of times customers don't understand the value of some of the logs. They're like, oh yeah, we're sending you our firewall logs. Okay, that's great, but I have absolutely no idea what happens anywhere else.
Right.
So, and that's why we also don't price on log volume.
Oh,
because
Gotcha.
I mean, storage for us is fairly cheap. I mean, storage in general now is fairly cheap, right?
Yeah.
So our cost mostly is in querying the data. So we try and make our queries really,
efficient.
efficient and smart, and not query terabytes and terabytes of data.
Yeah.
And that way we can have a better pricing model.
Yeah.
I am guilty of doing such things and being like, why is it slow? Why
Right?
is it?
I know,
It's
I
like,
know.
just go through terabytes, please. You know?
It's like, Google, why are you taking so long?
So, and then is this on like, I don't know, like the secret sauce, is that like on top of BigQuery then?
Yep.
Cool.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot of whatever BigQuery's language is, but it's basically SQL.
Right, right.
I've learned a whole lot of SQL in the last couple of years.
Wow.
Never thought I would need it, but that's what I'm doing to do like our correlations and a lot of our searches and everything.
That's very cool. Have you guys like using any sort of the machine learning features in BigQuery quite yet, or?
Not yet. It's
Okay.
in our plan to do later. We have
Gotcha.
to get all the other stuff right first.
For sure, for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting, like that feature. I don't know, it was
Yes.
how many months ago or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
very cool, just doing machine learning like models with SQL. I read the documentation, and I was just sort of like blown away by like the idea, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. I have to go learn the syntax. That's always like the hard part for me in like their documentation specifically, is the syntax. Sometimes it's just missing.
I feel like, sometimes they don't explain it great.
Yeah, like I need way more examples, please.
Right.
But for the most part, I've gotten through some BigQuery stuff and been like relatively happy. Like,
and it's quick.
Yeah,
we have a lot of our back end there.
Yes, forwarders, it plays together relatively nicely. So that's awesome. I think it's a good foundation. I think, especially for like a product like that. I think that's really cool.
Right. Yeah, because I've worked with Elk too, and that's not. I don't know. I don't find it scalable.
Yeah, it'd be definitely a different like sort of support model under the hood.
Yeah,
supporting
definitely
those Elasticsearch clusters. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go figure out how to tune it.
No thanks.
Yeah. So I've definitely gone. Like, I'm very much with the managed service. I'm very, very happy with managed services right now.
Yeah. There's some really good ones out there. Yeah.
But then there's some really bad ones.
There's some really bad ones.
Or like SLAs that have like no teeth at all. It's like, what?
Yes.
I can't build anything on top of this. What do you mean? The price just drop.
It was great when I worked at the place that did Splunk, like, because they were like a certified Splunk MSSP, and like we had people that sat on their board, and
That's
we
cool.
like had some really big Splunk contracts, right?
Mhm.
And our engineer, and like that's all we did was Splunk, and our engineers would like take over a new company, and they're like, I have no idea who implemented this, but we just have to rebuild everything because it's that bad. Wow, that takes a lot.
Yeah, it can be expensive.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like having the logs, it's like you need it. Like at the end of the day, like if you don't have it, you don't have the visibility. Even if you're like don't have all the logs, like just start putting stuff.
Something. Something.
Like some of the nodes, like give me 30%. I don't care. Like give me like maybe the main stuff, the stuff that's like the cloud exposed IP addresses. Just give me that. I'll be happy.
Right.
So now, question for you. Sure. What is your end goal? What is your dream? What is your, like, if you were to
retire early?
Huh?
To retire early.
Okay, fair enough. But like in the industry, what would you say your goal would be to retire then? Like, what would you say, if you set any goals, right? For yourself, what would you say, like, you got to this point, then I can retire? Like, do you have anything like that set in place, or?
No.
Okay.
No, but just make lots of money.
It's a good goal. It's reasonable.
Yeah, remain fairly physically healthy.
Okay.
Another important thing, like not just the mental health, but the physical health.
Yes,
I've been so bad about that.
The holidays are rough.
Yeah.
Let's just blame it on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I have a delayed New Year's resolution.
We can just write off January. Let's start in February. January was a practice month.
Right. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Just like one thing
Yeah.
I've been doing. My manager, so I work remote, and my manager said at one point like he started standing up during meetings, and that's like
Mm.
sort of like the thing helps him just like
Okay.
get a little bit of blood flow. And so I'm standing up right now
Yeah.
during the meeting, stuff like that. I've been trying to do that. That's like fairly nice, but like I definitely need to like go outside, walk, go to the gym or something.
Wait, go
Yeah.
outside?
Yeah, I have to do that. Yeah, I really need to go breathe some
It's
fresh
too
air.
cold. It's
Yeah,
too
now
cold.
it's too cold. I
Yeah.
woke up and it was just snowing, and I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna be inside.
I did go play in the snow yesterday with my children, and I'm very sore today.
That is one thing that I have noticed working in an office compared to my previous jobs. Like my previous jobs have been very active. I've
Mm.
been out either outside or have been working in a building, but like constantly moving.
Right.
And even in the IT industry, I was constantly moving because I was in like an IT help desk aspect where I was always going from
Yeah.
computer to computer. But being a stock analyst, I find myself sitting in, at least personally, sitting in a very uncomfortable chair
Ooh.
for 8 hours, not
Yeah.
having standing desk. It's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. I never realized how brutal it really is until you start doing it over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again.
You feel your
Oh
body
yeah.
reject you. Just be like, this isn't how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, my body is
Right.
just like the blood's just spooling in the bottom of my body, and it's just like, all right, we need to like do a 360 real fast.
Yeah, I started because my kids leave every morning at 7 a.m. I have to force myself then to go to the gym, otherwise I won't. So
Gotcha.
like it's my thing. Like when they get up and get ready, I get up and get dressed, and if I put my work clothes on, I'm not going to stay home.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
And it's
yeah,
good to have the schedule too, being like,
yes,
I'm gonna
I
stick to this
have
routine.
to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to do that now.
Which I've not done this year yet because I was gone for like a week, and then I had the flu for a week, and then I was gone for some more. So I've just been tapped out. Like that's why I'm not counting February. I'm not counting January.
Reasonable. I'll hop on that bandwagon.
Yes, exactly.
Write it off.
Yes, it just doesn't count.
No, that's actually a very interesting aspect to like working from home is the whole being active and not just sitting down for hours.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
I still do.
Yeah.
I'm still bad at it. Yeah, but I try and get up.
It
At
is a
least do
trap.
something.
It's a big trap.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you work from home mainly, or do you go to work
I
often?
do. Yeah, no, I work from home most of the time
That's nice.
because it's like 90 miles to get to Ann Arbor from here.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's a while.
So yeah, I come in like twice a month if I can.
Gotcha.
I mean, I like Ann Arbor, so that helps.
Right.
You know, I like seeing my coworkers and stuff, and like eating good food.
There you
Ann
go.
Arbor is good for that.
Yes.
Yeah, because
It's
I don't
really
have
good.
I don't have anything here. I live in a super small town. We have like McDonald's,
A pizza shop.
2 pizza shops,
2. My bad.
Subway, and Taco Bell. That's it.
Yeah, definitely not Ann Arbor food. No.
Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's just Asian variety of food is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
It's the best. I love it.
It's definitely what's keeping me in the area right now. Yeah.
Good beer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the breweries, just like in the area, even
Breweries
like
everywhere.
surrounding Ann Arbor, like it's all good. It's all
Good
really
coffee.
Good. Oh,
Yeah.
And one thing I would do is I would get up in the morning and I'd go get coffee because I didn't have a coffee maker for a little while, and then I started making coffee from home, and yeah, just one more less reason to like leave the house.
Now Kent leaves the house every once a month.
Yeah, basically.
That's good.
No, it's just groceries help. Yeah. That's what it is.
So, are you for the company itself, for your mental health company that you started? What are your guys' goals, or what do you guys? I know you guys like go to conferences and stuff. You guys do a lot of reaching out, and you're very active on Twitter. And I do want to say that. Oh, hold on one sec. I got to. Kent, do you have that? That Twitter was if people are in charge
Oh yeah, your pinned tweet.
Yes, that is my
Oh.
favorite tweet ever to this day.
I don't know how long it's been up there.
Always
A
remember,
while.
just
Yeah.
because someone speaks with authority doesn't mean they have a fucking clue what's going on. That, when I saw
point.
that made my day, because that is just so factual.
Yeah, I had problems. I still have problems with that, like believing. I'll just think I'm wrong
Mm.
all the time. Like I very, very low self-confidence when it comes to things technically a lot of times. And I kept on running into people that were always very sure they were right and not. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I know I'm right. I have proof here that I'm right, and you still act like you're just speaking with authority on it. And I just got very angry the one day.
No, I like that. That tweet is very relatable, and that,
Mm.
that goes back to like, we had hired somebody, and they showed symptoms early on that they were having issues with those type of things, with like getting angry and then like thinking that he was the boss, and being a
Okay.
very low on the totem pole kind of guy.
Right.
And unfortunately, obviously we got to let him go, but it's just one of those things, like those type of people you just can't have in your like your culture, your mini culture at work, because it
Yeah.
makes life rough.
Yeah.
Because you can't
Yes.
nobody wants to have a debate anymore. It's always an argument. It's always,
Right.
I'm right and you're wrong. It's never like, okay, I feel like I'm right, but let's talk about why you think I'm wrong. You know what I'm
Right. Let's
saying?
like if it's something that can be proved with science and facts, let's find those and then we can discuss it.
Exactly.
If it's emotional, that's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how like sometimes not even like maliciously, like from that like point of view, but
right.
just like people just like talk with authority because like that's what they were taught, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
this is what I was taught, so it must be true.
Uh-huh.
So it's like rough. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I have at work, is like, because I like talking about like political topics. I like talking about controversial topics in the tech industry and things, but it's hard to, because there's a lot of people who are just one track minded and won't open up the idea of having just a conversation about it, to really learn
I
and
feel like
understand
people
it.
in person are much better.
Yeah. Time and place.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
And sometimes like public on Twitter isn't the right place to have some conversations.
No.
Yeah. You
No.
can't. No.
Yeah, I found that out a long time ago with the Reddit and 7chan. That
Oh yeah, I bet.
talking about certain topics, that's when trolls come out. They come out of their little holes. They come to find you. But,
And then just like one thing I definitely wanted to like cover with you. So I've basically covered it with everyone on the podcast so far, is the origin for your handle, InfoSystir.
yes.
Is there any like cool story?
I love how you spell
Not
sister too.
super cool. Yeah, so like when I joined IRC, I was told to not tell people I was a girl,
Okay.
right? And I
okay.
was in the information systems department, right? So we did InfoSys with everything. And it just like popped in my head. I'm like, well, what if I spell it like this? They might not get it. I don't know. And I guess it took people a long time to realize that I was a girl, which was fine. Like I wasn't trying to hide it, but I wasn't like trying to broadcast it either.
Right.
And people will still come up to me. They're like, I finally said it out loud the other day and just realized what you mean. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
No, that's very
IRC.
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Long time ago.
with that, did you notice any like backlash being a female on like online forums or online areas?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
I mean, there's assholes everywhere, right?
Yeah, that's facts.
I mean, I noticed them more than anything. Like, very rarely have I run into anything or anyone blatantly sexist.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, I can maybe count on one hand, in the years that I've been doing stuff, the people that were obviously blatantly sexist.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were probably also bigots towards other whatevers too, right?
Gotcha.
They
You know, if
hated the
you
planet.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
if you weren't them or looked like them or sounded like them or had their background, you were going to be shit anyways. So
Yeah.
it wasn't maybe just because I was a girl. Yeah, so not super often. I feel like I don't know. A lot of people don't ask me about my opinions about like sexism and being a girl in InfoSec because they don't like my opinions on it. But I feel like some people blow it up proportion.
Yeah.
Your mileage will vary for sure, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people that have had absolutely terrible things happen to them too.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Like there are some people that I really, really respect and trust that have had horrible things happen to them.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by really cool people.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've always wondered because I'm not a female, but in the forums that I've been in, like, that doesn't see. It seems like it's mostly male, you know. At
Definitely.
least, like, I haven't met any, like, personally, like, in my experience of meeting, like, before I had MySec, before I had EmuSec, while I was in high school and middle school, like, 7chan and Reddit was my life, and that's where I found all my hacker friends, you know, and they all seemed very like you never really knew what kind of gender they were, but like there wasn't many females, or like we didn't meet many females. Like when we hopped on Discord servers and talked, there wasn't like any females. So like that's why I was wondering like how is it if it's weird, if it's different, if you have issues.
There's a lot of really creepy dudes.
Yeah, I guess what circles you're in, right? Like
Okay.
maybe those circles.
I mean, my DMs are closed on Twitter for a reason.
Gotcha. Okay.
For sure.
Fair enough. Makes sense.
There's a lot of really creepy guys out there.
Gotcha.
There's more of those than people that are blatantly sexist.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So just before we end the podcast, I really do want to touch base on how did you get into MySec? What brought you to MySec exactly? Because we kind of touched base a little bit on it, but not fully.
I think I found out about MySec. Oh man, I think maybe it was like at a B-Sides Columbus.
Okay.
Like I went to a B-Sides Columbus one year and met some people that were in MySec.
Some MySec representatives.
Yeah. I know Wolf was there and Jimmy Vo was there.
Now, how long have you been with MySec?
7 years, maybe.
Oh, wow. So you're a pioneer.
7 years. Yeah, when there was only one. Before there was the Slack. Yeah. I was on the IRC. Yeah, it's been a while.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered because I don't see you active in chat, but I understand like not everybody can be because of the fact that you got a lot of things going. You got Twitter, you got work, you got a company you own. There's a lot of things you have to kind of be in, and then you have to take care of your kids and have your other life.
Right. Yeah. And like hopefully soon I'll find out where a friend of mine and I are doing trainings and submitted to Black Hat. So
nice.
Then that's another. I've been like aggressively checking my email for the last week.
I know the feel.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just never sleep. I have like 6 Twitter accounts that I'm in charge of.
Yeah, I remember seeing you respond to one of the messages in Slack at like 3 a.m. I was like, oh my God. What's she doing?
Yeah, I don't sleep a whole lot.
It can be rough. Yeah. Not enough time in the day.
Nah, I don't need sleep. Yeah. No, 4 hours is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I know it's not.
But honestly, that's what is sleep? Like that. Yeah, I'm lucky if I get 3 to 4 hours, like my days off are the only time I get to sleep, but I have to do homework during those days. So it's like it never really works out too much.
Yeah. I don't ever plan on going back to school.
No. Did you just wait for, you just got your help desk degree, right?
Yeah. Like I took 2 Cisco classes. I took an A+ class. I took a server admin class. The only one I actually learned anything in was my technical writing class.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the rest of college, I kind of just forgot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
None of it was helpful.
Now, do you have obviously, like, in this industry, a lot of it is like experience and then like who you know, and obviously I'm sure that's has a lot in the progression of your jobs.
Definitely.
And your the way you've gone, but excuse me, do you have any certs, or have you looked at any certs, or because of
I
where you are now you
do.
don't have? Okay, you do.
Yeah, I do. It's been a while. So I have my MCITP in server 2008 R2,
Okay.
but that was a while ago. I got,
When
I
people
got
should
that
be
in
using
like,
2008.
yeah,
Yeah,
right, when it wasn't end of life. And that's the last, like, I have my A plus and like other Microsoft certs and a bunch of little ones that don't really actually matter. But yeah, I never wanted to pay for the SAN certs because by the time I thought I needed like one or two of them, I feel like I could probably teach it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to pay for it. Like, if somebody wants me to have that certification, that's great. But I mean, all the jobs that I've gotten, the last 3 jobs I've gotten, I've found on Twitter. So I don't know that I need one, right?
Totally fair. Yeah. Networking way more important than that, like, at the end of the day. So
Yep.
And some people don't realize that, and that's one of my biggest discussions I have with people is like, some people are so focused on either getting the degree or just so focused on getting a cert.
Would get you past a lot, right? There's not, I mean, I've worked at very small companies, but if you're going to work at a big company, I mean, depends on which way you want to go. Definitely doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't. And that's one thing is, like, I tell people, if you, especially in college, go for the ones that you can go for that are inexpensive, but really just network. Use this, like, create projects, create things that people can see and look at, and just talk to people in the industry. And that's going to really be your breaking point. And then you can kind of go off of, what they say that they want or they would like to see from you, because sometimes, for example, like you don't have, a lot of certs. But, or I'm assuming, right? Because you said you had the 2008.
Yeah, like 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5 of them, but not
but you
for
don't
the last 8 years.
But you're not worried about getting like the newest SAN cert or working on, you know what I'm saying? You're
right.
You just network and you know what you know, and people know stuff, and it's all from networking, which I think is a really good point that some people
choose your adventure of how you get your foot in the door.
Exactly. If you write a book, you never really need a resume again.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
plop down the book on the table and be like, read it.
Done.
It's on defensive security. I wrote the book.
Who else are you gonna hire? Lee already has a job.
Yeah, just walk into the interview and they're like, "Why should we hire you?" Well, did you read the manual?
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Why should I work here?
Right, exactly.
I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was really, really great having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me know if you want me to tweet about it.
Maybe I will. Maybe.
Yes, I mean, I'm down. I had no idea.
How many followers?
22,000 people. That is crazy.
Yeah, I was told too. This is bad. I hope we'll see who listens to this podcast. I was told too that there's a couple people that have like way more followers than me, but don't really do InfoSec, but they're in the space kind of. And they're like, well, they post a whole lot of selfies, so maybe if you took more pictures, people get the fuck out of here.
Or more pictures of your cat.
Or more pictures. Yeah, I would
gotta play your cards right there. I definitely like the pictures of the cat.
Yeah, the cat pictures would be perfect.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So thank you so much again.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
it was great having you. It was great talking to you and finally meeting you, like not in person, but over video chat.
The internet, it is magic.
Exactly. Very magical. Are you going to any conferences up here that you plan on going, like GERCON, B-Sides, Converge?
I did GERCON. Okay. I will not do Converge this year because I'll be training at NOLACon.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm going to Blue Team Con.
Okay. Gotcha.
In Chicago.
Okay.
What else? Hold on. I just laid out my schedule for the year.
Perfect
the other day. Yeah. Let's see here. ShmooCon. All right. So that's coming up in like 2 weeks. So I'll be there. I'm going to the SC Village conference in Orlando. A non-InfoSec one in Washington. I'm going to Walmart's security conference, which I'm really excited about.
Really?
Walmart security team. I've met them. They're very cool.
They're super smart. Yeah, they have a really good security team.
Do they?
They have their own InfoSec conference called SparkCon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super excited about that.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, right? Me neither. They contacted me. I'm like, I didn't know you guys had a conference. All right. Oh, I am going to one up there in May called Technology at MSU Empower.
Okay.
Which is in Lansing.
Gotcha. Local, I like it.
Yes.
What about next year's GERCon? Are you planning on going there? By chance?
We'll see. Maybe.
Okay.
Well, you got a lot of cons on your.
I know, plate there. Man. I go to around 14 a year.
Oh wow.
So maybe.
You're famous.
I don't know about that.
Networking. All about that.
Yeah, but I plan on going to Wild West Hacking Fest if I can, and that's around the same time as GERCon. So if they switch them and move them further apart, I might be able to do both.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully I get to meet you in real life. Maybe
like do you go to like Southfield or any of the meetups?
Yeah,
I've been trying to get him going to Southfield
Detroit.
Well, Detroit's not a thing anymore. Brian.
Oh no, it is. They got it. Yes, Infinite's doing it. Yeah. I spoke there last month or whatever. This past week.
Yes.
I don't know what it was.
I deleted it off of my calendar because I.
Well, you got to get it back on. It's there.
I'll have to put it back on.
It's a really good community.
I actually don't know when I can come to another MySec. It has to I could have come to the social this month, but I'm going to be at ShmooCon, so I can't do that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'll have to look. They have to align on the days I don't have children.
It's the magic of scheduling.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. It was great to have you. I'm so excited to actually meet. I don't know. I'm sorry. It was I never expected to meet somebody who I kind of look up to on on the internet.
I just have good jokes, man.
You do great memes.
Ahead of time.
Great memes.
So he's holding it back, which is really kind of cute, but I like it. Anyway, I think that's a good place to end. It was a great night. Great talk.
Yeah. I should go yell at my kids and make them go to bed.
Perfect. All right.
There we go.